Gabriella Vashi, or at Gab_NYC on TikTok, is a 26-year-old New York City influencer and artist who went viral in April of 2025 because she's selling $1,500 Trader Joe's tote bags that she has hand painted. As the 99% continues to get poorer and poorer, more poor? However you would say that. Well, the pace in which the bottom 99% is increasing its poverty. The idea of paying $1,500 for a tote bag originally priced at $2.99 at Trader Joe's that some rich girl just decided to paint some olives on is almost insulting and definitely and entirely out of touch with most of the country's population at the moment. That being said, I also like to defend art and artists by extension. And as much as, I dislike our late stage capitalist society right now, the fact of the matter is we're all part of it and there's really nothing we can do about it. So if there's a market for $1,500 Trader Joe bags and people are willing to pay for it, should we really be as outraged as people on the internet are acting over this? We'll talk about it. Currently sitting in at about 125,000 followers on TikTok, she's been on the platform for years, portraying an affluent Upper East Side lifestyle and aesthetic that many rightfully deem to be unrealistic and disconnected from reality. From living in luxury apartments to upscale dining and designer shopping, the lifestyle she portrays in her content has led commenters to accuse her of promoting an unattainable and superficial image, one that even most people actually living in New York City couldn't even dream to attain for themselves. So we're gonna get into all of that in just a second. First things first though, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and press the like button on this video because YouTube likes it when you do that. I'm on my way to 100,000 subscribers. We're like 4,000 and some change away, so I really appreciate it if you do that. I'm just trying to get up there, so thank you. And one more order of business. I just have to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Factor is a meal subscription box that makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than it's ever been. They deliver fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to your doorstep. Factor eliminates the need to meal plan and then go shop for all those ingredients and then prepping the ingredients and cooking them and cleaning up. Like, it eliminates all of that for me. That's a big deal because I'm a mother of two who works at home. As much as I enjoy cooking, I just don't have the time for it. So Factor is really, really convenient for me. Simply put your Factor meal in the microwave and within just a few minutes, you'll be chowing down and savoring the good stuff. Like this sun-dried tomato chicken, yum, or what I always tell you guys is my favorite, Factor's loaded bacon and spinach shredded chicken. I am telling you guys, Factor is the easiest way to fill your belly with incredibly delicious food because they have a weekly menu of 35 different meals with options including keto, calorie smart, veggie and vegan, and even more. They also offer 60 add-ons every single week, like breakfast and on-the-go lunch and snacks and beverages, like these fresh juices that taste like you just juiced them yourself at home without all of the hassle. So delicious. So if you're ready to get started with Factor today, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50SavannahMarie to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50SavannahMarie at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thank you so much, Factor, for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's talk about some rich girlies in NYC. So Gabriella actually has an interesting history on the internet. Let's just say this tote bag situation is not her first rodeo. I found this opinion blog. Now, obviously this isn't like a news article, but it's a blog post about New York City influencers, and it specifically names Gabriella. And it says that her displays of what seemed to be a normal day in her life are just, quote, anything but normal for the actual people of New York. The blog post cites that, she Ubers everywhere, which I think most people in New York get around by taking the subway. Even though I did see a video of her once at Grand Central Station, so that makes me think that, okay, well, you've probably rode a subway a few times, at least. In 2021, she was a student at Columbia University, and she was living in the neighborhood of West Harlem, which is a Manhattan neighborhood, but the population of said neighborhood is predominantly made up of Hispanic and Latino people. And although their numbers have decreased in the past decade, there's still a large Black population there as well. And compared to other parts of Manhattan, West Harlem has higher poverty rates than the rest of the area. So with that all being said, this opinion piece also, rightfully points out that Gabriella in her content, with all of the dining and shopping she does, she pretty much never features Hispanic or Black owned businesses. She doesn't feature Hispanic or Black art, which is an unrealistic portrayal of living in West Harlem. And what she was doing and how she was behaving was actually contributing to an apparent ongoing gentrification of the area. Most of the businesses that she partners with and features are on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. We're talking like luxury designer brands where you'll easily find yourself paying $500 for a tiny little dress or like over $1,000 for an entire outfit. So she's basically just been like criticized for basically ignoring the neighborhood and its most predominant communities at the time. Now, at this moment, she no longer lives in West Harlem. I think she actually does live on the Upper East Side now. But she originally moved because she moved down to Dallas because she was going to, I guess, graduate school because she graduated from Columbia. And then she went to Dallas to attend SMU, Southern Methodist University, I believe. But now she's back in New York. And I think that's how she ended up actually living on the Upper East Side. And, hopefully now her diet consists of more than just a chai latte for breakfast, 6 mini sausages for lunch, and carrots for dinner. Yeah, see, that's an odd relationship with food that I also find to be problematic, but hey, hopefully she's changed that about herself these days. In 2022, she was criticized for the content that she posted when she was asked to stop filming inside of a Ralph Lauren store in New York City. This video in particular got a lot of criticism because the caption says, "Not me getting kicked out of Ralph Lauren for filming an outfit check, like I'm not the reason Ralph's coffee went viral on TikTok." And commenters started saying things like, quote, "Like I'm not the reason Ralph's coffee went viral. Who even are you? We love a manager who protects the brand. These influencers really need to be humbled. I'd just like you to confirm that this is satire. You're the reason people get coffee at Ralph's. Be fucking for real." You get the point. Basically, people were saying like, girl, you're taking way too much credit for people liking Ralph's coffee. I mean, I didn't even know that Ralph Lauren sold coffee in their stores, but all right. And people were also pointing out that in this video in particular, the outfit she was wearing isn't even Ralph Lauren. So that means she just like showed up to a Ralph Lauren store in New York City, not wearing any Ralph Lauren anything at all, apparently. And then she just like took up space in the store to film TikTok content that had nothing to do with Ralph Lauren. She was just like using the store as a backdrop to show off clothes that Ralph Lauren doesn't even sell. And sure, we should all take a moment to appreciate that, influencer marketing, social marketing in general has been proven to be a very effective form of viral marketing. Ralph Lauren is a company worth over $12 billion right now, and that's after the stock market has been crashing. As far as their coffee goes, I don't think they need someone who at the time was a smaller influencer. Like, they don't need her to be the one to turn people onto their coffee. Like, I think they get enough foot traffic on their own. They don't need your help, girly. On Reddit, someone mentioned that on a live stream once, she said that she was in the store for 2 hours during Fashion Week. She often doesn't even buy anything. She just uses the store for a backdrop for her content. So imagine being a customer and you're like just trying to go up or down the stairs, and in the middle of the staircase there's this TikTok girly blasting TikTok music with a tripod and her camera, just acting like she owns the place. I think it's fair to call this behavior a disruption to normal daily business operations, and most of the comment section seems to agree on that. But maybe this wouldn't be such a big deal if it was the only time this had happened, but it's not. No. In 2023, she posted this video where she was yelled at for taking pictures in front of a Ralph Lauren store in New York City. While she's obviously not obstructing the entrance, from what I've read, businesses in New York City are responsible for maintaining the sidewalks outside of the building, even though the sidewalks themselves are actually property of the city of New York. But she was causing enough of a disturbance in front of the store that this Ralph Lauren employee had every right and responsibility to tell her to leave. The fact that she's been kicked out of Ralph Lauren stores more than once is such entitled behavior, and the internet saw that and scolded her for it. So does she have the worst history in the world? No. Just entitled rich girl shenanigans, which is definitely worthy of criticism. But now that you have a bit of an understanding of who this girlie is, now we can get to talking about the Trader Joe tote bag situation. This controversy has the internet absolutely enraged. So on April 11th, 2025, Gabriella reposted this video that she had actually made the year prior, but it was showcasing a Trader Joe's tote bag that she hand painted some olives and martini glasses on. For context, this Trader Joe's bag can be bought at Trader Joe's locations and on their website for $2.99. There's also a line of these totes that have pastel coloring that I guess are in crazy high demand right now because they're sold out through Trader Joe's, but you can buy them on eBay for still a semi-reasonable price. Like I found a 4-pack of them on eBay for $25, so it's still not too bad. For some background on these totes, in March 2024, they actually started going viral. I honestly don't understand why, but people were going crazy over them. Trader Joe's told People magazine, "Our mini canvas tote bags certainly sold more quickly than we anticipated. Before we had the opportunity to promote them in any way, customers across the country found them at their neighborhood Trader Joe's. Our customers in our stores are our focus. We do not endorse the resale of any of our products anywhere." And according to that same article, at one point when people were going crazy over these bags and they were entirely sold out, there was at least one eBay listing for $999. So that gives off ticket scalper vibes to me. Like, that is icky. I hate that. That is a byproduct of hustle culture that is so toxic and so harmful, and I think we have late stage capitalism to thank for that. But anyway, to be fair, people are comparing what Gabriella is doing to ticket scalpers, and I mean, I can see that line of thought and I see the similarities, I guess, but in my opinion, she's at least, you know, transforming the pieces before she resells them, so that's definitely a big difference. But anyway, in March 2024, Gabriella started posting other designs that she had hand painted onto these tote bags as the bags were going viral. To be clear though, I didn't see anything suggesting that Gabriella was trying to sell these at first. She was just showing them. She didn't post a link where to buy them. She didn't say anything like DM me for pricing or anything like that in the captions. It just seemed like art for art's sake. I actually found a video by Gabriella where she explains that her goal in 2024 was to get back into art again. So she just started painting stuff and showcasing her work on TikTok. And when you scroll through these old videos, most of the comments are positive. Like a vast majority of them, I would say like 99% of them are absolutely positive and supportive. So Gabriella's degrees from university are in art and advertising. So what I think happened was this girl saw these cheap bags going viral on TikTok and she just saw the opportunity to make fun content using a viral commodity, and you know, she jumped on that opportunity, and I think basically any influencer would do the same thing. But what really got people so upset is that she posted this video, and this is of her reacting to a DM that she got. This person was inquiring about buying this tote bag from her. She tells the message sender that the bags were basically one of a kind and would be sold for $1,500 if she wanted one, to which the message sender replied, "Girl." To be very clear, it seems like this message sender reached out to Gabriella on her own volition, just inquiring about how much it would cost her if she were to buy that bag. But I didn't see any posts like advertising, "Hey, DM me for prices," or I don't know. You know, she wasn't advertising that these bags were even for sale. This person just reached out to her and said she wanted to buy it. And listen, from an overconsumption standpoint, I absolutely understand the outrage from that standpoint. These Trader Joe's mini tote bags are mass produced, and I do see the criticism that appears to say that she was just kind of capitalizing off of a less than $3 item, even though like I really don't think that this was her original intention in the first place. This kind of goes back to the cake decorating controversy I covered like a month or two ago on this channel. I have similar feelings about it. Long story short, if you haven't watched that video, cake decorators were getting shit on all over TikTok for charging $150 for a heart-shaped cake And I feel like they have every right to set the price for what they're making in their own businesses. Even the ones who aren't even like great bakers to begin with, like the ones that use box mix to bake their cakes and then they just decorate it and charge an arm and a leg for it. I mean, as long as you're being transparent that you're using box mix, you know, and your customers know about it and they don't care, it's like, all right, well, it's about supply and demand. If you have a customer base that is willing to meet you at your price point, your customers clearly see the value in the work that you do, and they're willing to pay whatever price you're charging for your work. And that is their choice to pay that amount. If a potential customer can't afford that price tag, then they go to another business that competes with them at lower prices. So like the cake thing, for example, the issue was, why would I pay $150 for a heart-shaped cake from this bakery when I could get a heart-shaped cake from Walmart for $25? And most of the outrage started because there was one or two TikTok creators who were basically implying that cakes are a luxury, and if you can't afford her cakes, then you don't deserve cake at all, basically. So it's kind of messed up, and that outrage is absolutely warranted. Like, that was so out of line for those TikTok creators to be saying. In this case, though, with Gabriella and the tote bags, I haven't seen any examples of Gabriella basically being like, if you can't afford my $1,500 Trader Joe's tote bag, then you're too poor and you shouldn't be shopping at Trader Joe's. Like, she's not doing that. And just to reiterate, I don't think that she was even trying to sell them in the first place. They were just originally for opportunistic TikTok content, which, again, literally any influencer would jump on that if they had the chance. So I'm sorry to sound like I'm defending someone who has been in so much controversy for being an out-of-touch rich girl, but when it comes to art, I always do end up getting a little bit defensive. Just like the heart cake drama that I was just talking about, if Gabriella has a customer base that will pay that price for a hand-painted Trader Joe's tote bag, then I think people need to just chill out. Art is subjective, and you don't get to put your own price tag on someone else's work. For me, maybe the one thing that I could see perhaps criticizing her for is that she is just painting on a mass-produced product that otherwise would be extremely affordable to just about anyone. But it's like, is this trademark infringement? Like, is she even allowed to do this? I feel like she could get in trouble with Trader Joe's for doing this. But then again, Trader Joe's would be kind of stupid for trying to stop her from doing this because they have gotten so much marketing for free out of this. So, I don't know. I don't think that she would, like, legally have the right to do this and like intentionally paint on these tote bags and then try to resell them. Like, I don't think that's something she'd be able to get away with if she was doing it on a mass scale. But like, if she were to just buy blank basic tote bags and then hand paint whatever she wanted on those, would we even be having this conversation? I think at that point it would hardly even be an issue. Like, if people want to pay that price, that's their choice. I think the issue that so many people are hung up on is like, I could go buy that tote at Trader Joe's for $2.99. But the addition of her hand-painted original art on those tote bags objectively does change, or at least transform, the product in a certain way. And if people want to pay for it, that's on them. Is Gabriella out of touch with the bottom 99% of society? Yeah, I think so. For reasons more than just this, of course. I think most people that make up the top 1% are out of touch with the rest of society, period. But like, I don't see this situation much different from, for example, bedazzled Starbucks cups. So as I'm sure you know, Starbucks sells these reusable cups for like 20 bucks each. But for a while, there was a huge trend where everyone needed to have a bedazzled one. And you can still find these bedazzled Starbucks cups all over Etsy, many of which are going for over $100. I feel like the same people who would be looking at this cup and being like, oh my God, you're charging $100 for a cup, are the same people saying, oh my God, you're charging $1,500 for a bag? When really, it's not that cut and dry. It's not that simple. Hand bedazzling is something that takes a lot of time. And of course, there's material purchasing involved in that as well. If you don't want to spend the time bedazzling your own Starbucks cup, then you pay somebody to do it for you. After materials and the time spent individually putting each one one of those little gemstones on this freaking cup. Like $100 seems pretty fair to me anyway, if that's what you really want. You can buy them for cheaper, but it seems like the more expensive ones are like customizable and stuff like that. But anyway, with Gabriella's tote bags, the materials hardly cost her anything, and the time it took for her to paint these little illustrations probably didn't take that long either. Would I personally spend $1,500 on one of these tote bags? Hell no! I wouldn't even spend $150 on that tote bag. Shit, I didn't even know who Gabriella was until this whole thing started. If I wanted a Trader Joe's tote bag with hand-painted illustrations on it, I would just do it myself. But like, maybe I would pay a higher price if, you know, my favorite influencer or musician or artist or whatever, or content creator had hand-painted it. Part of what goes into the valuation of art is exclusivity, of course, as well as subjective worth to the buyer. Like, I have literally sold my hand-painted rocks to some of my audience members for like about $50, and that's including shipping and everything too, in the United States anyway. So you could go look at my rocks and be like, wow, you're charging $50 for a rock? But like, yeah, if you come to me and you ask me to hand paint a custom rock for you, that's the price I'm gonna give. Take it or leave it. For US people anyway. Shipping a rock to another country is so expensive because rocks are heavy. I paint rocks for fun, and then I literally just take them and I go hide them in parks and stuff when I leave the house. Like, I don't do this for work, it's just for fun. And I'm not a self-proclaimed professional artist, so I'm not out here like promoting some custom rock painting business of mine. People have just seen the rocks I painted and asked me here and there if they could buy them from me, and that's just how I priced them when people ask. Like, that's it. But if I had 1,000 people coming to me and asking me for a custom hand-painted rock, then yeah, I would charge more because I can't handle that workload. That's just how supply and demand works. When supply is low and demand is high, prices go up. That's how it works. And this situation also reminds me so much of one of my favorite modern day artists that I've been following for quite a few years. His name is Callan Schaub, I think is how you say his last name. So for example, last week he posted this picture of a piece that he did, and he says he sold it for $30,000. And in every single one of his comment sections, people are always bitching about him not being a real artist, because if you watch his videos, he makes these pieces fairly quickly, but I'm pretty sure he basically invented this style of art. Well, maybe not invented, but he at the very least popularized it, and now there's copycats of him everywhere. He's gotten so many hate comments that at one point he started printing out all these comments onto canvases and painting over them, which I stan, and he tags all of his work as #fake-art and the #fake-art movement, so he's leaning into it. I think he is the perfect example of how art is subjective, because if you were to ask me if I would pay $30,000 for an original Callan Schaub piece, I would say yes, absolutely, if I had that kind of disposable income, which I do not, and I probably never will, so I'll never own an original Callan Schaub piece. But I do see intrinsic value in his work, and if I were a rich bitch, I'd have multiple pieces of his just hanging in my house, but I'm not. Meanwhile, you have comments all over his work saying I wouldn't even pay you $2 for that shit, to which my response would be, you're not his target demographic and you never will be, so why do you care? He clearly has a clientele that is willing to pay those prices, so shut the fuck up. Like, I don't know, that's how I feel when I look at specifically Callan Schaub's work. And with all of this being said, the $1,500 price tag has actually been blown out of proportion in the first place. So she explains in some of her other content that if you are to reach out to her to commission her to hand paint some other bag, I think you have to send the bag that you want her to paint on for you. She says she charges between $250 and $500 for a custom commissioned piece, not $1,500. Still a price tag that I wouldn't pay personally, and most people probably wouldn't pay it either, unless you're like a really big fan of Gabriella, which who is? Like, her content's interesting, I guess, to the 99%, because we don't live the lifestyle as she does, so like, it's interesting, but I don't see her being the kind of person that people would just like faint over if they saw her in person, you know? Anyway, that being said, I'm not her target demographic. I'm not even a follower or a fan, you know? Like, so yeah, no, I wouldn't pay that price tag. But the reason that Gabriella gives for that $1,500 price tag for that one specific tote bag that someone was asking about, it's because it's actually part of a framed art piece that she is submitting to be shown in a gallery, which would obviously cause an increase in value. But even that got criticism, because people are like, like, wow, no one frames a Trader Joe's tote bag, which might be true, but again, if there's a buyer who wants it, it doesn't matter what you think. That's between Gabriella and the people who want to own her art. But I must reiterate here that selling this bag in the first place, regardless of the price that she would put on it, was not her original intention. She was not sitting up here being like, I'm gonna paint a few olives on this bag and then sell it to someone in my TikTok audience for $1,500. Hee 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 hee. Like, that's not what the original intention was. It started out as an attempt to go viral on TikTok, and then it ended up as a piece that she's framing to put in a gallery. And I guess you could say that wealthy patrons go to art galleries with the intention of buying art, but even that I don't think is always necessarily the intention that artists have when they submit a piece to be shown in a gallery. Obviously the option to sell the pieces in said art gallery would exist, but I wouldn't automatically say that the reason people make art is to sell it. That's not true across the board. Maybe for some people, but there are plenty of people who do art for art's sake, like me. That's why I paint rocks and then go hide them in parks, because I get to have my little artistic creation, and then I get rid of it unless someone wants me to paint a custom one. Then I'll charge them. But like otherwise, a lot of us out here just do art for art's sake. So this in and of itself brings up the big juicy question. Is the price of art separate from the pressures of survival in a capitalist society? I know we're getting deep here. This is a heavily debated topic, and I know people are going to argue with me. I know people are going to argue with each other in the comments, so can we please just be chill with each other for like 5 seconds? Please be nice. In an ideal world, art would be purely about expression. It might portray things from beauty to rebellion. So ideally, the value of someone's art would be based on, you know, the message or the meaning that it carries, skill, time, or even like cultural significance. Artists would be creating art for the sake of creating art, not for the sake of income and wealth and status. That being said, hello, hi, welcome to late stage capitalism. We are all cogs in the capitalist machine, whether we like it or not. Artists have to pay their bills just like everyone else does. And if you can make a living in this capitalist hellhole that we currently find ourselves in by doing what you love and using your talents to make money, doing what you're good at, I say more power to you. Like, if the American dream was still alive, which it's super not, I don't care what anyone tells you, but if it were still a thing, I would say that that would be a big part of it. Being able to monetize things that you enjoy, that's a pretty big deal, and not a lot of people get to do that. And I've commissioned artists to make digital art for me, like my logo. I actually hired my cousin to make my logo a few years ago, and I also had these little sprites made that I only ended up using them for one video because then I changed my hair, and my hair was not purple anymore, but I really like them. Maybe I could bring them back. Anyway, I recognize that if I want something done well, it's worth it to commission somebody to do it. Somebody who is skilled in that area and good at what they do. So there is a need for artists who make money by doing art. So skilled is probably a word that I think a lot of people find issue with in regards to Gabriella's art, because on this martini tote bag, commenters point out that she didn't even go through and erase the pencil lines that she put down before painting it. But again, there is no evidence that she went into this Trader Joe's tote bag painting thing thinking that people were going to swarm her and beg to buy it from her. In the case of physical art, the worth of a painting is not determined by the materials used to create the painting and the labor and the time it took to create the painting, which I think is what, you know, a majority of our goods and services that we all pay for on a daily basis, that's like generally what pricing is determined by. But in a case like this, it's more so based on what someone is willing to pay for it, period. Like, if I were to go and follow step by step a Bob Ross painting tutorial and create a painting that looks exactly like an original Bob Ross painting, if I went to go and try to sell it, I wouldn't get shit for it. However, that same exact painting using the same exact materials, but just painted by the hand of Bob Ross, that painting will sell for tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars, because I don't think his original paintings are generally for sale, like his family owns all of them or something like that. But one instance happened where one did get sold at an auction for almost 10 million fucking dollars. You think that I could get away with doing that? No, I'm not Bob Ross. chaos. Do we all like that? I don't know, man. We're all gonna have our own opinions on that. But from a realistic standpoint, you really can't separate art from capitalism until capitalism is abolished, which doesn't appear to be happening anytime soon. I mean, like I've said a million times in this video, we're in the late stages of it, so it's gonna crumble eventually, but in our lifetimes, I don't know, probably not. Now, in the case of Gabriella Vacci, I don't know exactly what she does for a living, but I don't think that these little art pieces are her main source or even a significant source of her income. I did find an old article from 2020 that at that time said that she was working for an influencer marketing firm, but that was 5 years ago. So she has her degree from Columbia University in art history and also creative writing apparently, but then when she transferred to SMU, she was going for advertising, so she's probably doing something with all that. She clearly has money, and I don't think any significant portion of said money comes from TikTok or commissioning artwork. It costs a lot of money to live in Manhattan, dude. If she is out there thriving, especially living on the Upper East Side, like she's getting her money from somewhere, and it's not from TikTok and from a few $100 to do custom commission bag hand painting, you know? I think she's a Nepo baby, actually, but I don't know for sure. I don't know her background. It doesn't really matter. My point is she probably doesn't need to be making these art pieces to survive, but she still puts a value on the art that she does create, and if people are buying it, good for her. If not, she could lower her prices if she really wanted to sell her art, but I don't think she originally intended that to be the case in the first place. Ultimately, aside from obvious trademark issues with Trader Joe's, I feel like people on the internet are overreacting about this. Sorry. I think that a lot of the people looking at this entire situation with smoke coming out of their ears, they're looking at this as if they are the ones in the center of this whole thing. Basically being like, I'm a consumer, so therefore you're expecting me personally to pay $1,500 for that bag? No. The reality is she didn't paint this bag for you. She didn't paint the bags for anyone in particular, as a matter of fact, but if someone sees value in it and wants to purchase it, that's between her and the buyer. But it certainly was not made with the intention to be like, hey, TikTok audience, one of you guys are gonna buy this from me. Who's it gonna be? That's not what was going on. I just think people are making it about themselves when it's not in any way about themselves. Setting themselves in the center of this controversy when they have nothing to do with any of it. It's almost like, mind your own business, man. If she wants to sell her art for whatever price she wants to sell it for, it's none of your business. Is it out of touch? Yeah, but us poor people, us peasants, are not her target demographic. It's irrelevant. So much of it is also like all the comments I get on like my tattoos and my earlobes and stuff. You can't see my ear. Well, yeah, I have them stretched. So I get comments quite often, almost always from men, or I'm like, I've been married for 13 years. I'm not trying to impress any singular man. But I get comments a lot of people like, wow, I would never stretch my earlobes. I think they look so ugly. Or, oh my God, it's gonna cost you so much money to get your tattoos removed. Like I literally got a comment yesterday from a man talking shit about my tattoos. And I'm just like, okay, well, I did these things to my body because I like them. I like the way it looks. I like to spend my money on tattoo. If I had more money, I'd be covered head to toe. So it's like what I'm spending time and money on doing to my own body is none of your business. Same thing. If I want to spend $1,500 on a tote bag that's been hand painted by some micro influencer on TikTok, it's none of your business. Am I gonna do that? No, absolutely not. But the point still stands. In regards to artists being shit on for the prices that they set on their work, like we see this all the time. I specifically remember a set of DMs that got exposed that really stuck with me this entire time. But I mean, that's not the only case of this happening. It happens all the time. But for example, you'll have someone trying to commission someone to crochet a full-size blanket using a very specific and advanced stitch, and then they'll freak out when that artist says, okay, that'll be $400, which isn't even a lot for a hand-crocheted full-size blanket, dude. And then the customer will go, oh my God, I can get a crochet blanket at Walmart for $20. And then the artist will be like, okay, then go buy it at Walmart then. And they're like, oh my God, you're so rude. When really it's like, dude, you are acting incredibly entitled. I mean, with crochet in particular, the materials are expensive and it's time consuming to make one of these blankets. It's hard for many crochet artists to even break even as it is. And then when they want to be compensated for the time it takes for them to create a commissioned piece, the quote unquote customers freak out. Literally ask any career artist, and I am willing to bet actual money that they have had experiences similar to this as well, because it's very common. We hear it all the time. In the fallout of all of this backlash, though, Gabriella seems to be doing just fine. She ended up getting commissioned by a brand called Love Shack Fancy to hand paint makeup bags to be sold in their New York City location. So this is a luxury brand where you'll probably end up paying hundreds of dollars for a top. So I think it's safe to say that the brand thought that there would be a market for them to sell these hand-painted bags in their brick and mortar locations. I'm pretty sure that Love Shack Fancy sold them for $225 each inside their stores, and that's just based on what information I could find. And this wasn't even the first time she collaborated with Love Shack Fancy. She's had a few commission campaigns with them in 2024 as well. This specific collaboration came after she made a video talking about how she made a bag like this for a friend of hers, and then someone else liked it and reached out to her to have her make a custom one for them for $300. Interestingly enough, if you scroll through the comments on this particular video, they're all very positive despite the $300 price tag. And that price point still falls in line with what she charges for commissions today, $250 to $500. After actually taking the time to research what went into this controversy, here are my final thoughts. Most of this entire video has just been my opinion, but final thoughts. Okay, I think that the internet is being too mean to Gabriella. Is she part of the top 1% of wealth holders in this entire country? I guarantee she is. Is the top 1% out of touch with the rest of society? Yeah, certainly. But also, does it piss me off every time I see someone showcasing their art and reading comment after comment after comment, just demeaning the artist and saying that somebody's work isn't worth what they're charging for it? God, yes, dude, I'm so sick of seeing that shit. I'm sick and tired of seeing entitled people expecting to be the target audience and the target demographic for absolutely everything. Is $1,500 for a Trader Joe's tote bag expensive? Yeah. Do I think it's stupid? Yeah. Does most of the internet think it's stupid? Yeah. But you know what else I think is stupid expensive? Literally every single designer brand ever. But I'm not the target demographic for, like, Gucci, for example. I am not fashion forward or polished or rich, but they're obviously a very successful and well-established brand, and people will pay those prices for Gucci products. So all I can say is it's not for me, and then I move on. The value that Gabriella has placed on her work does not devalue someone else's work. She is existing in her own tiny corner of the internet and the world as an upscale rich girl from New York. That is her demographic, that is her niche. It seems economically tasteless to be trying to sell a $3 tote bag for $1,500 at a time like this. But again, if she comes across somebody who wants to buy it at that price, that's none of our business. Despite how out of touch rich people are these days, I still think the internet is being too cruel to Gabriella for this specifically. She's done other shit in the past that's just like, wow, that's really out of touch and entitled. In this specific situation, I don't think that the hate she's getting is necessary. I don't think it's right. And she's kept comments on this whole time. I'm like, damn, girl. Most people would be run off the internet by now, but she is sticking to her guns, and that's good for her, you know? Aside from all this, Gabriella's content is still pretty out of touch and unrelatable. She still goes to Ralph Lauren and vlogs about her upscale dining and shopping trips. She's still going into luxury stores like Prada and filming inside without buying anything. By all means, criticize her for those things. But when it comes to art and what the artist thinks their art is worth, it doesn't matter how much you dislike a person. If people are willing to pay her prices, that's none of our business. I think there's more pressing matters to criticize Gabriella's content for. Her art is not one of those things, in my opinion. We should be more outraged by wealth hoarding, wealth disparity, but an artist setting their own price to a base of people who are willing to pay that price is not what we should all be mad about. And that is my opinion. That's where we're gonna end it today with the Gabriella Vashi situation. Obviously, let me know what you think. Please be kind in the comments to each other. And if there's anything that you take from watching this video, I just hope that what you take from this is that you should be nicer to artists. Artists are people living in late stage capitalism as well, and they need to be afforded more space to operate and survive off of their arts and their talents and stuff, you know? Anyway, let me know what you think, but before we end it, I gotta thank a few people. First of all, thank you again, Factor, for sponsoring today's video. Factor75.com. Use the code 50 Savannah Marie at checkout. Get 50% off your first Factor box and free shipping. You're gonna enjoy Factor. I know you will. It's yummy, yummy in your tummy. So definitely check it out. Link is down below. And finally, I'd like to thank my patrons and my members, you guys. The list of names I'm about to read off are my financial supporters. They get access to things like our private Discord server. We have a postcard club, early access to new videos whenever I'm able to provide that, and sometimes even more than that. So if any of that sounds good to you, you can go to patreon.com/Savannah Marie, or you can click the join button beneath this video to join my YouTube memberships. Just whatever platform you want to join on works for me if it works for you. So with that, the biggest thank you in the whole wide world goes to Hula Chowdown, Jacqueline Nutton, Kessie Drew, KJ Barnes, Leanne, Marie Silver, Caroline Reed, Daniel Urena, Maddie Darley, Ray, Stephanie Mayfield, Alex Gollum, Love to Be Evil, AJC, Liz Sahu, Charcity Gaming, Evan Adler, Kelsey Nicole, LaSalle Story, Fluffy Duck Butt 24 Elaine, Ferd Turgeson Esquire, Just Mark, Baby Pink Pearl, Alice Wagner, Fallon Harris, Jessica Billhart, and Emion. And to the rest of my financial supporters, thank you so much for being here and for being you. And even if you're not a financial supporter, thanks for making it to the end of this video. YouTube loves watch time, so I just appreciate you being here and liking the video, and of course, subscribing. Princess Pop-Tart! Oh my gosh, have you guys noticed? There's a cover on this chair now. One of you guys sent it to my P.O. box. Thank you. This chair underneath the cover is beyond effed up, okay? Because of her. Because of this one right there. All my cat mamas know that we just can't have nice things. And that's why the top of that chair was absolutely just torn to shreds. To the one of you who sent this to my P.O. box, myself and my husband, thank you. This is my husband's computer chair. It looks a lot nicer in the background in my videos now. You know, I always say, like, one of these days I'm gonna be able to move and get a bigger house so I have my own space and I can make things look nice, but right now this is what we're dealing with. We live in a small house with too many animals, shared spaces with too many people, and you know, so little thoughtful gifts like these just I'm so grateful that you guys think of me in that way from time to time. It means a lot, so thank you. With that, I'll see you guys later. Bye.